is the Next Level Loan Officers podcast. To learn more about Next Level Loan Officers, go to becomενl.com.
What's up, Next Level Loan Officer? Sean Zalmanoff here with this edition of your Next Level Loan Officers podcast, the #1 podcast for loan officers by loan officers. And I'm your host today. You know, this is a special treat for me and really for you too, because that's just me today. So we get to it, get after it, and send you on your way. But this podcast, I promise you, will be worth its weight in gold. So today we are going to talk about our 90-day season, not just any 90-day season, but the 90-day season. We're going to talk about Power 90 that we have here at Next Level. I'm going to give you some insights never heard before on this podcast, and I'm just excited to share with you. So first of all, let's start with 90 days. Why 90 days? Like, I've got a coach. All of us at Next Level have a coach, and one way that we work on consistently bettering ourselves, as you should too. You should be finding your tribe of people and connecting with them, masterminding, breaking bread to move the needle for you and your business. But one of the things that we do with my coaches, we live in a 90-day season. Again, we turned that 90-day season into Power 90 and applied it a little more for the mortgage world. But why 90 days? So here is a fact that I know. Most people, when you ask them what their plans are for the next year, so let's just say that it's the end of the year, you're making your goal planning for the following year, and you're asking yourself, man, so what are my goals going to be for next year? What am I going to do? Let me business plan this out. A couple things happen. One, you put your list together. It ends up getting stuck in some file that you don't remember where you saved it in a super secret folder on your PC. You handwrite it out, sits in the bottom of that desk. You look at it a few times and then never think about it again. You're cleaning out your desk next November because, happen to have a slow month. You're like, man, holy crap, look at all these goals that I put together last year. And wow, I actually hit some of these things, but you haven't looked at that in 8, 9, 10, 12 months, something like that, since you wrote that out the year before. So we want to make sure that you're really clear and concise. The other reason this might be something that you should write down is most people will greatly overestimate what they can get done in 1 year, but they will greatly underestimate what they can get done in 5. That's why business planning is so hard. Things happen in our lives, with our family, with our children, with our health, in the market. Rates go up, rates go down. It's a buyer's market, seller's market. Margin compression happens, margin compression goes away. All of these things that affect our business. So, for every one of us who and I think your goals are great. You just have to break those goals down into a 90-day season. But for every one of us who planned the goals that we had at the end of last year, as we're past the midpoint of this year, and they changed. The target moved. What we were going to have to do in our business to be successful changed from what we thought we were going to have to do. And so the importance of breaking those year-long goals down into a 90-day season is that we live in them every single day. We're executing them every single day, every single week, and it allows us to course correct. Write that down if you've never heard it before. Course correct. So when we course correct, so I have, you hear us talk about our ATMs all the time, our actions that matter. My 90-day goals consist of a lot of actions that matter. Now I have goals in 4 areas of my life: fitness, finance, faith, and family. Fitness, finance, faith, and family, the 4 F's that I live inside and that we live inside of in Next Level and help people move the needle in their careers. what this allows is it allows me to be working on different areas of my life at different times. When I need to be more present for my family and my kids, that 90-day season, although my business doesn't take a back seat, I move that up on my priorities. If I, faith doesn't have to mean a specific religion. It can, and it does for a lot of people. In order to have faith, you need to believe in something bigger than yourself, whether it is your family, whether it's the person next to you, whether it's who you work out with in the morning. You have to believe in something bigger than you, or what are we doing all this for? And so I have these 4 areas of my life that I'm consistently moving the needle in, that I have year goals. I mean, I have some 10 and 20 and 30-year goals that I have in place. But if I just have a 30-year goal and no plan in place on a daily basis to get there, that's called a hope or a dream. And you need action. That's, again, why we created Power 90 here. So we just break down. So let's talk about these ATMs again. Actions that matter, things that will move the needle in your life in a daily basis. So let's break down business first. So you have some extra time on your hands. You're like, man, what do I need to do? Like, all right, business has changed. Realtors are a little bit easier to get in front of right now. 10 years ago, somebody told me I should do video. Haven't done video yet, but I really want to. And man, I just haven't called to check in with my clients recently. Well, man, I just heard 3 great ATMs there on a weekly basis. I'm going to produce content. I'm going to be a creator with video. I'm going to set X amount of appointments with realtors, new ones, old ones, a week. Maybe that's 3, maybe that's 4, maybe that's 10. But that's going to be one of my ATMs, one of my actions that matter. And I am going to make sure that everybody in my database knows who I am. Because, man, I got a bunch of people in there. Man, they got some 2 handles and 3 handles on rates. And you're thinking, well, man, if they got a 2 handle or a 3 handle on a rate, why would I call them? First of all, because you probably told them at some point they were going to be a client for life. Be a loan officer of your word and follow through on that. Make that happen. Number 2, they might have had a kid. They might have had a kid or 2 graduate college or graduate high school, go on to college. Maybe they need to downsize. Maybe they're packing up where they're at out of the great state of Missouri here in St. Louis. And like, man, kids are out of the house. Life's good. I'm going to go live on the beach. I'm going to go live in the mountains. And you know what? When people need to move or have life-changing events, it doesn't matter if there's a 2 handle on the rate or a 4 or 5 or a 6 handle on the rate. They still got to move. And the rate is what the rate is that day. And don't you want them to think of you? I know that I sure do. I want to be that guy for them. So I want to break down a little more on these ATMs as we talk about these big goals. Now, I teach a class inside of Next Level called The Path, and I want to break down the path for you just a little bit. I want you to be able to get so clear when you decide what these 90-day outcomes are for you, what these year-long or these 5-year-long outcomes are for you. And I am going to double down and dip into 2 categories with this story, with this idea that I want to present to you. This idea is why times 5. And it dovetails into two separate categories that round together for me. One finance and one family. Actually probably goes into fitness a little bit as well too. I should wrap them all together, but let me start. So when you're telling yourself, like, I want to make a lot of money, I want to make $100,000, $500,000, $1 million, whatever it is that you want to make, great goal. Well, why do you want to make that much money? Because it's fun to have money? Sure, that's a great answer. Why is it fun to have money? Well, because it allows me to take care of my family. It allows us to go on nice vacations. It allows my kids to be able to play sports, allows my wife and I to drive the Jeep Cherokee that she wants and the Ford F-150 that I want, which one of our uh, awesome members, Fredo, if you're listening, out in the great state of California, who lives in San Diego, he told me my Ford F-150, I think, was the Ferrari of the Midwest. So I'll take that as a compliment. And so what does buying these nice things allow? Well, it allows me to live a good life. Well, why is that important? Well, when I grew up, my parents were divorced when I was 7. Money was a really big issue for my family. I wasn't able to play a lot of club sports. I wasn't even able to play like soccer because we couldn't afford like the 150 bucks for the leagues back then. Um, well, why is that important? You know why it's important to me? It's important because I never want my children to feel like I did when I was 7 years old and understood how much money we didn't have. Now, I was really fortunate. I grew up in a very middle class neighborhood. If I would have grown up as a poor kid in a poor neighborhood, it would have just been normal. Everyone around me would have been in the same position. Growing up as a poor kid in a middle class neighborhood allowed me to understand that I wanted to have something different. But I remember being 13 years old. I remember being my first day of junior high, and after I got the 4 new shirts for the year that I was going to get, and on the 5th day of school, I wore this long sleeve shirt with the short sleeve shirt over the top of it, and a kid called me out on it. And uh, if you've heard me speak live, you know who the I mentioned his name. I'm not for forever. I'm not going to put it on a podcast, but the man, I never want my kids to be in a situation like that. So now saying I want to make a lot of money and saying money's important to me, that's one thing. Saying about Y times 5, and maybe it's Y times 6 or 7 or 8 or 25 for you by the time you peel back all those layers of the onion. But when you do, when you peel back those layers and you get there, and my motivation for getting up every morning is because I want to make sure that my children are taken care of. I want to make sure they have clothes on their back, that it's not the same shirt unless they choose to wear the same shirt 3 days later, that's not that they're not getting made fun of for those kind of things. That's a different motivation to get my butt out of bed and do something different than the next guy when times are tough, when I'm feeling down on myself, when I just don't feel like doing it. When you know your Y times 5 in areas of fitness of your life, in areas of finance, faith, your mental health, and your finances, you can move a mountain with a shovel if you so choose. I'll just tell you, I am 44 years old. I am incredibly fit, probably the fittest I've ever been in my life. If I would have told the 24-year-old version of myself that 20 years later I was going to be the most fit I would have ever been in my life, uh, I would have been like, okay, buddy, uh, sure. Good luck making that happen. But I also lost my mother when I was in college, and to cancer. She had breast cancer. It came back for the 3rd time, and she was clean on a scan 6 months ago. Fast forward, I get a phone call. Hey, it was in November of 1999. After again, she just had a scan 6 months before that, so it would have been the summer of 99. Everything's fine. November of 99. Hey, mom's got cancer again, and a month later, like, it had metastasized through her whole body, and she passed away. When I see pictures of my mom from when she was, in high school in her 20s, she was beautiful and very fit, very in shape. The mother I knew, great woman. She was beautiful. She was not healthy. She was incredibly overweight my entire life that I remember and know of her, and in my memories of her. And that is my motivation. That's how I get up at 4:15, 4:20, 4:30 most mornings and go meet a bunch of dudes at 5:15 every day to go work out Monday through Friday, because I want to make sure that I'm there for my children. I want to set an example. I love going home, coming home from working out, my kids being like, "Hey, like, oh, do your dad, you're just walking out or you just wake up?" I'm like, "No, I'm just getting home from working out." And my boys are young. And so they're like, "Hey, dad, let me see your muscles." And it's just really amazing to, like, they don't even realize I'm inceptioning them, but they're seeing that day in and day out. Dad likes to lift weights. Dad likes to run. Dad likes to mountain bike. They see all of these things and they can see muscles, and it's what I'm implanting in them for them to have that kind of ethic to take care of themselves as they get older. So as you are planning your 90-day season, maybe your first season, you're not going to pick areas that encompass everything with fitness, family, faith, and finance. Maybe you're just going to be like, maybe right now you just need to work on your business. Maybe that's the season that you're in. You need to decide why you're going to do it. Why times 5? Peel back those layers. Figure out the things you want to do, those actions that matter in your business that you think matter. Now, a few minutes ago, I told you to write down the words course correct. The reason we do this for 90 days is because you might create an ATM for yourself that you all of the sudden come back after doing it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Maybe even you do it for the whole 90 days and you're like, man, that just wasn't me. It doesn't work for me. That's cool. That's why when we course correct, change it, get rid of that ATM, throw a different action that matter inside of there, and execute on our plan of what we laid out and what we put in place. And we win that way versus this is what I'm going to do for the next year and then it works and that's great. But most of the time we just leave those in our desk or, oh man, it didn't work. And then so you just kind of veer off your plan. You need to break those goals down. You need to break the things that you do down. The other thing that happens, so let's say you pick 4 ATMs for yourself in your business. Let's use the examples that I used earlier. So I'm going to do video. I'm going to meet with more realtors. I am going to contact my clients in my past database. And another one, let's say I'm going to build a new CRM. I'm going to implement a new CRM for these next 90 days. Really get everything dialed in. So after 90 days, my CRM's implemented. Like it's just part of my business. Well, since this is part of what I do, that's not an ATM. It's going to continue, but it's part of my DNA. It's part of what I do in my business. So that's not what I'm going to continue with for the next 90 days. Videos, man. Like I just pick up my phone now, I record a video, I shoot one out every day, every other day. I'm putting a reel out. I'm doing this on TikTok, this on Facebook. It's working really well for me. I can't imagine not doing it. Like I do it in my car, I do it in my truck, I do it when I'm at the office. And so you make those things very easy to do. Again, that becomes part of your DNA. And it's what you do, but it's not an ATM anymore because it's what you do every day. Then the next 2 things, you're like, man, dude, I killed it with realtor appointments. I killed it with client calls. Well, those are things you're still going to need to put on your calendar every day. So you're going to continue those ATMs. So those are 2 of your 4 ATMs for the next 90 days, but then you add 2 more. As these things just become you, as they become part of your DNA, then they move on past just being an ATM because it is who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why we developed Power 90. This is why we have these tools at your fingertips. Hey, if you need help with some of this, do yourself a favor. Go to nlstrategycall.com, nlstrategycall.com, and book a call. It's free. Let us help you with some ATMs. Let us help you get these things in place to move the needle for you and your business. I appreciate your time today. Again, my name's Sean Zalmanoff. This is the #1 podcast for loan officers by loan officers. This is the Next Level Loan Officers podcast. Thank you for listening today. Peace out, y'all.